I was speaking at the QS annual India conference yesterday. You know the QS university rankings, the global rankings? They're the main global rankings of universities. We are, of course, a top 100 university. And I gave a keynote speech yesterday in Goa at the QS annual conference. And I made the point very clearly in my speech. I said that the British government must not in any way reduce the 2-year post-graduation work visa. It is imperative that we keep that going. In fact, while I was there, I had meetings with university leaders from New Zealand, from Australia, from America. And very, very clearly, they were all saying how important postgraduate working is to attract international students. And we know when it was taken away in the UK from 2011-12 and was brought back a decade later, recently, that the number one reason why international students, including Indian students, were not choosing the UK as their number one destination was the lack of post-study work opportunities. So this has now addressed it by students being allowed after they graduate, whether it's an undergraduate program or it's a master's program, when they finish and graduate in the UK, they can stay on for 2 years unrestricted and work to earn some money, to pay for their education, to gain some work experience, and to continue to build the bridges between their countries and the UK. It's very, very important. And the reason why we are hearing that the government, there's some members of the government who want to look at this whole area is because the net migration figures in the UK have increased substantially. Why is that? One of the things we did at the All-Party Parliamentary Group for International Students, which I co-chair, was in 2018 in our report, we recommended the government should do a list of things, but top two recommendations of the government. One, bring back the 2-year post-graduation work visa. Secondly, have a target for the number of international students each year. The government listened on both counts. First, they listened on the target. They set a target of 600,000. We beat that target in the pandemic. In fact, we're now at 690,000. I personally feel we should go up to 1 million international students. And the reason is international students are very good for our country, for our universities, for our economy. And they bring in 30 billion pounds to our economy directly and indirectly. They benefit our domestic students, they enrich their experience, and they're one of the strongest elements of soft power in that they become ambassadors for Britain and for their universities in their home countries, including in India. And it's one of the best bridges we can build. There are more world leaders that have come out of British universities along with America than any other countries in the world. This is priceless. This is one of our most important assets as a country. And we prize and value our international students. So whatever we can do to attract international students, including from countries like India, which is a priority country, the priority country, is we mustn't do anything to jeopardize that. And here's the reason. We include international students in our net migration figures. Why? Because the United Nations regulations state that if anyone stays in the UK for 1 year, they have to be treated as an immigrant. And therefore, we have to declare them in our United Nations figures as immigrants, which means the net migration figures go up really high because international students are increasing. Whereas our competitor countries, and I was able to find this out from them yesterday face-to-face, our competitor countries exclude international students from their net migration figures when they present their figures domestically. So they give the UN the figures, including international students, but when they present the figures domestically, they exclude international students because they're not immigrants. The vast majority of international students, when they finish their studies, if they're not staying on to work, go back to their countries. So it's wrong to include them as immigrants. And I've been saying to the government time and again, and I spoke about this in the House of Lords just a couple of weeks ago, and I got cross-party support saying, of course, please, government, remove international students from net migration figures. I wish they would listen. Should be a non-subject because we had an issue with what they called, in inverted commas, bogus colleges and bogus institutions when this first two-year post-graduation work visa was first brought in 2008, 2007, 2008, when it was brought in. And that has now all been cleaned up. So now, if you get admission to any of our 150 universities, accredited, authorized universities in the UK, there is no issue. These are all accredited institutions. And of course, they're going to be the Oxfords and Cambridges at one end, and the Russell Group Ivy League university at one end in the rankings, and there'll be a university ranked number 150 at the other end. But they are all accredited universities, and the standard of universities in the UK, even the ones who are bottom of the ranking of the 150 or so universities in the UK, are really good universities by world standards. They have good quality facilities, they have good quality teaching, they offer a range of different subjects. And of course, that we have such a breadth of offerings of our universities in the UK. We have universities that I, for example, was Chancellor of what is now the University of West London, which offered hospitality and catering, which offered film studies, which offered subjects like that a university like Birmingham does not offer. But the University of West London can give that offering. Now, that does not, in fact, in those offerings, it's the best in the world in those subjects, hospitality and catering. It's ranked one of the best in the world. So just because the university itself is lower in the rankings than a Russell Group university, it can still have parts of it that are really excellent for what it delivers, for what students want from all over the world, including from India. So I think this is, again, a wrong way of looking at it, to say we're going to try and restrict international students or postgraduate work to people who go to certain universities. Any British university should be eligible for it. I said this earlier on, it is a very, very important. I mean, of course, students are coming to the UK because we have the best universities in the world, along with the USA. In the top 10 universities in the world QS rankings, we have 4 British universities out of the top 10. I mean, to show you, think about that, our population is less than 70 million people, 67 million people. We have 4, and America has 5. And America has got a population of over 300 million people. I mean, that's amazing. We punch well above our weight, and the other one is a Swiss university. In the top 100, Britain makes up less than 1% of the world's population, and we have 17 out of the top 100. And that's how good British universities are. So, of course, students from India will look at British universities as a top priority because of the quality of the education and the experience they're going to get. Also, the student experience for a student from India coming to study in Britain is phenomenal. The facilities, what they experience living in the UK, whichever university, whether you're in London or whether you're in Birmingham, or whether you're in Scotland, whether you're in Wales, Northern Ireland, you get a great experience as a student. And then on top of that, if you can stay on and work for 2 years, it's a huge bonus to be able to do that unrestricted. And we're now, of course, trying to get employers as well to be made more aware that they can have access to these bright students who graduated from British universities, who can work for them unrestricted. They don't have to get sponsors, and there's no bureaucracy or red tape. You can just hire somebody for 2 years unrestricted. I think that's a great benefit to the economy. We have a labor shortage in the UK at the moment. We've got 1.3 million vacancies. So these students should be helping our economic needs, and it benefits them because they earn money and to help pay for the education. And of course, it's expensive to study in the UK. You've got to pay for your fees and your living expenses. So this helps with that. And it helps them get more work experience. So everyone benefits from it.